He's way more action-oriented, obsessive he calls it. He learns something and then implements it the same day, selling Quest with his co-founders for $1 billion. Clearly, he's doing something I'm not. Lessons still to learn. Tom is one of my mentors. I've never met him in person, yet I feel like I have, and I know someday I will. You're listening to the Unshackle Your Life podcast with Debbie Colburn, and each week we talk all things money, business, personal growth, and we dive deep, exploring the hundreds of things that shackle us unconsciously from our own true potential. And you'll discover tips and tactics to start unlocking your shackles and release an extraordinary life. Thanks for spending time with me today, and let's dive right in. Guys, I'm super excited to be back again each week. We've got some exciting stuff coming for you over the next couple of months. Are you really ready for this? Ready to hit restart? Yep, all things money, business, careers, life, and cracking open the hidden crap that's holding each of us back. Things like shame and anxiety, sabotages and drama we create, and that funk, the feeling in the pit of our stomach that we're stuck, overwhelmed, and simply can't get out of our own damn way. Yep, you got it. We are going to get uncomfortable, and I'll be with you all of the way as we navigate our way to create your breakthroughs. What's going on in your life now? Maybe you're in survival mode, just barely getting by, living day to day, paycheck to paycheck, even if you're making good money. I know, crazy, right? Maybe you're in a job or a career or business that's leaving you on empty, depleted, uninspired. Or maybe you just can't figure out the right thing to do, or any stage in between those. Maybe your relationships are fracturing and you can't figure out what's happening or why. If you're a brand new listener or one of our longtime fans, we're excited to have you here for a conversation about jump-starting your life and breaking free of your shackles and create the life you really want. So grab a drink, find that quiet spot, and pop those earbuds in. Welcome to episode number 72. Where I am today in life is a result of only 3 simple things. What I chose to believe was possible for me, bringing people into my life who knew what I didn't know, who had done what I wanted to do, and who could do what I couldn't do or didn't do super well, and who challenged my thinking and my perspectives, and taking action. That's it. And that's exactly the framework that every single successful person does. No matter where they start, whether they start with nothing or whether they come from an entitled and privileged background. Stop. Right now. I know you're thinking, sure, Debbie, you probably spent thousands on them, belong to multiple masterminds, have a bunch of different coaches. You just have the contacts. You have a business education. It's easy for you. And you'd be 100% right. And you'd be 100% wrong. So one of the biggest mistakes that people are making is thinking that you have to have a one-on-one, face-to-face, live interaction with someone in order for them to mentor, coach, or guide you. That you have to dole out a crap load of dollars to get one. Absolutely. That's one way. The very best mentors and coaches and guides see helping you as a privilege, as a way to pass on their experience and their mistakes to be, well, let's call it your nitrous boost. Speed up your journey. And they are willing to walk with you down your unique path. I liken this to my evening walks with my friends around each racetrack as a safety official, way before I ever sat my ass into a seat of a race car. I knew every turn, every apex, every dip, every barrier. I knew where the most cars spun out, in what conditions. I knew where the passing zones were. I knew where you could screw up and slide off the asphalt and drive through the grass and re-enter without crashing and bending the car frame. So when my brakes failed at Mont Tremblant, a former Formula One circuit in the beautiful mountains in Quebec, so Americans straight up from Maine and Vermont, coming down the steepest, a negative G crest hill with a 90-degree turn at the bottom, I didn't crash or even panic. I just steered and believed I was on the right path. Did I finish the race? No. I got the hook ride back on the tow truck to the pits to face a 4-year-old child worried about her mom, and an 8-year-old son saying to the team manager, "Let's get at it. We've got to get her back out on the grid for the next race." Yes, you need the right people around you. And that 8-year-old has gone on to become the Canadian National Masters karting champion in 2012. And I understood, and you can too, that you start by being your own coach, and you will always be a coach and a mentor to yourself. Up until very recently, I struggled every single day with money, with thoughts of not having any or even enough to cover what people would think were the basics. Yet for the last more than 15 years, I've always had 5 people on my team guiding me, mentoring me, coaching me. How is that possible? Well, I have my own back. I find my own resources. That's why when I see someone in a Facebook group post, "Can someone tell me where the ... is in the program?" and all they needed to do was use the search function, or they post, "Can someone tell me how to do ... and they haven't even opened the module of the lesson titled ... Well, let me be totally honest here. I get a bit judgy. I'm trying not to do that, but I do. I feel like they're wasting other people's time because they want others to do the work for them. And I'd love to do a study someday on the trajectory of people like this to see where they actually end up. And I know that's not you, is it? Because you wouldn't be here listening to this podcast if it was. And I'm not alone in this style of growth. Tom Bilyeu of Impact Theory is the same. His differentiator? He's way more action-oriented, obsessive, he calls it. He learns something and then implements it the same day, selling Quest with his co-founders for $1 billion with a B dollars. Clearly, he's doing something I'm not. Lessons still to learn. Tom is one of my mentors. I've never met him in person, yet I feel like I have. And I know I will someday. His YouTube show, Impact Theory, is probably the #1 tool that has propelled me forward, pointed me to people and resources and books that I needed at that particular time. Yet his business style, what I call Gary V-esque, hustle and work obsessively hard, is the polar opposite to my chillpreneur style. And that's most likely due to the difference in our ages and our experiences. I've already lived the 14 and 16 hours a day, and it damn near killed me. And when I set up this business, I specifically set it up for the way I wanted it to be when I exceed the $1 million, when I exceed the 2, and when I hit my goal of $4.788 million in revenue a year. Learning from Tom Bilyeu costs me an hour, maybe 2 hours in time, which is the thing that I've always had a surplus of. but the people he introduces me to is invaluable. He's an interviewer with skills that rival the late Larry King, asks smart questions that others don't, researches his guests obsessively, is an exceptional listener, and does it in t-shirts and sneakers that also tell a story. You don't need to be wearing a suit to be an expert. Guys, if you're over 45, hear that. The suit does not define your success. If you're over 60, the suit does not define your success. You can be very successful in your golf attire, in your tennis stuff, in your jeans and t-shirt. Just look at Jeff Walker and his navy blue t-shirt that he only just upgraded in the last year. Chillpreneur. You've heard me use that term just a minute ago. It's a term coined by one of my mentors, Denise Duffield-Thomas of Money Bootcamp, author of Lucky Bitch, Get Rich Lucky Bitch, and Chillpreneur. And Denise came into my life when I was searching for a way to change my money story. I couldn't afford to join any of her programs. At least that's what I kept telling myself. No way was I going to put it on a credit card or get a loan. I'd worked so hard to get past those problems. But I was stuck with a problem and no solution. I was stuck in my blind spot. I joined the Money Bootcamp, a paying coaching group that came as a bonus to a 16-week course for building an online business, booked by using Denise's affiliate link. And if you don't know anything about affiliate links, just Google it, okay? It's someone promoting someone else's program and they get a commission off of it. It's as simple as that. It's the ultimate passive income. We all do it in the online business. At least we should all be doing it, at least in some form or fashion. Refer something, get some form of financial back. Not all the time, but every once in a while. If you even wonder about manifestation and putting what you want on a vision board and as a goal, my ability to get into Money Bootcamp without paying anything out for it, this is your evidence that it really works. Get it in your mind, set an intention, and just let it go, and it's going to happen. So let me just go back a bit. So remember those 3 books? Books have been my lifeline. As someone who for years called myself a slow reader, like I never didn't finish a book, it just might take me forever to get it finished. I am a voracious reader when it comes to growth and learning. Books are my biggest coaches. My introduction to concepts, to frameworks, to thoughts, ideas, perspectives, my deep dive into areas that I want to become masterful at. And whenever I'm listening to a podcast or an interview or even in a book and someone says such and such a book changed their life or the core of their success came when they read XX book, like a specific book, I put a big asterisk in my journal and I write the book title down and as much as the author's name as I can remember about it. And then I Google it. And I let my gut guide me back to those asterisks and either buy the book or get it at the library. And that's very dependent. I buy the book if I have a feeling that I may need to highlight in it, write in it, refer to it again. And if I think it's like something that I might read once and learn some stuff through, then I get it at the library. I have an intuitive feeling about what I should buy and what I should do. I do Audible, but I'm a visual learner. I'm a visual learner first, so I've been known to get something on Audible, so a listening book, and actually have the book in front of me. So whatever works for you. So I read both of the Lucky Bitch books twice in the order they were published. Lucky Bitch, then Get Rich Lucky Bitch. They're both about money blocks and money. And there was, and remember, I just got to say this. I'm a professional accountant, okay? And I had already, just, about a year before, I had already listened to, I couldn't read, it was too big, Tony Robbins' Master the Money Game. And I got it. And I've done that twice. It is a massive book. It's like 2 inches thick, and it's jam-packed, and it's supposed to be the guide to help people understand that. Well, I can tell you that you have to read it a bunch. Anyway, and I got it. So that wasn't the challenge. And there was no, when I read the Lucky Bitch books twice, and there was no question in my mind that what Denise was coaching about was exactly what I needed. She spoke about blocks and sabotages that made me feel like she was literally walking through my life, looking at every decision that I'd made, every bad decision, every right decision, every sabotage, every drama, every one of those as if it was a prison cell. And she was walking along going, clip, cutting the lock off that prison cell by exposing what it was that had put me there. It was like clip, 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 clip. Cutting off that lock on every bad decision and every misstep. And 3 years later, I'm a very different person. I'm still in that group. And I know you guys have listened to my podcast episode called Know When It's Time to Go, which is about, being in groups and knowing, or, that type of thing, or even with coaches and mentors, and knowing when you've outgrown them, when it's time to move on to the next step. Well, I'm 3 years later, I know that I'm not. There's still massive value coming to me because I'm still working on my money thinking, as we all do at every different level. And there are people in the group who are multimillionaires. Whether it's generational money, or whether it's business money, or whether it's investment money, whatever. There's always more to work on. And I use it now as a tune-up tool when I feel a slip or a knock or a misfire in something, or I get stalled. For me, that's the thing I keep going back to. Now, my jumpstart into using mentors and coaches more strategically, I've always had them. I came from university studying kinesiology in the world of sports. So I've always had coaches, but using it in this way, because obviously they've changed a lot. And it came through my Arbonne business. You guys have heard me talk about that. My premium self-care. It's 100% vegan. If you're interested, reach out to me, but I don't push it. I use it every day. It's part of my life. It was the catalyst for me into the online space. It helped me understand that I was not interested in doing the same thing day after day after day after day after day after day after day. Wasn't interested in that, but I saw the possibility. I saw what the ultra successful people in that business were doing, and I wanted to be there. So beyond the Global Company Conference in Las Vegas, I got myself to the largest industry conference. And that introduced me to people like Bob Proctor, Robin Sharma, Les Brown, John Maxwell, and Brendan Burchard, and a guy named John O'Leary, the author of On Fire. And I know you've heard of some of those men. Yeah, there are 5 white men and 1 not. Only 1 under 40 at the time. Now that's what was offered. That's who was keynoting at the time. And as Condoleezza Rice said, her mentors were all old white guys over 70, because where she wanted to be in the defense and intelligence area in the US, that's who was there. So sometimes you don't have a choice. There is a drawback, for women, that there is a little bit of bro mentality, but I didn't find it because this wasn't in the marketing space. Yeah, there's a little bit of that, but it's something to keep in mind. So today, my business model is actually fundamentally based on Brendan's. And every once in a while, he's not an active coach or mentor to me, but he's in the periphery. He's always there. And every once in a while, I feel a need to have what I call a little Brendan in my life. But as is supposed to happen, mentors and coaches and advisors, they're there for a season of your life, for a stage in your business. And most of my mentors today are in fact members or have been members of Brendan's high performance masterminds, or been personally coached by him, or they're friends of. And I think that speaks to the synchronicity in business models, values, vision, and community. And when I look at people's journey, I find that at least the mentors and the things for me, that frequently their paths cross Brendan's at some point in their journey. I'm sure there's something to that. I've learned from all of those 6 or 5. And I've been mentored virtually by each one. So I want to share a little something with you, and you take what you want from this. From Bob Proctor, I learned that I didn't like his business model. His model is to write a book on a topic that he actually hasn't done the thing really. He's taken a bunch of courses, he's met with a bunch of people, and then he publishes it as an expert. And I've read one of his books. It's, even though he's from Toronto, even though he's Canadian, even though I have notes from him from a large conference, having seen him in person at one of his keynotes, it pushed my integrity button. And that's important to understand, because you don't want to have a coach or a mentor that you don't feel in line with, that it doesn't work. Not everybody is for you. From Robin Sharma, I learned the level of personal sacrifice, of being monomaniacally, his term, obsessed about elite performance, and the power of frameworks and a routine. And I love his books. I've read every single one of his books, from The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, because he has a way of teaching lessons in the guise of fiction, as a novella type thing. So I love that about it. And every once in a while, same as Brendan, I go back and I revisit that, because again, when you've been doing things for long enough, you start to see commonalities and so on, and that's important. From Les Brown, I learned about the power of speaking. And guys, I know you've all heard Les Brown. He's got power and passion and everything in his voice that's like, without creating a cultural stir here, is like the Baptist minister up there getting the whole congregation up there chanting and screaming and singing and doing all those things. And whether I'll ever have his charisma or engagement or voice, who knows? But he taught me the structure of speaking, and I can see his influence in all of the others, and that has something to do again with age and so on. From John Maxwell, I learned leadership excellence and depth of leadership. So I've always been a natural leader in crisis situations, but I have not been a team player. And he taught me why and how to grow. And yes, I actually have met John Maxwell in person, from having put him on my vision board for a year. When I ended up in Atlanta one day, I got an email saying that he was going to be recording in person for this program that he was putting out. He was looking for audience, and standing 5 feet in front of him, I felt like I'd known him for years. And he's still, again, I literally, remember we talked about seasons and all that type of thing? I just literally in the last month brought John Maxwell into my Instagram feed, because I felt that I needed a little refresher again on leadership excellence. And that's what the power of mentorship is. Whether it's in person, whether it's virtually, whether it's that coffee every week, whether it's once every 2 weeks, whether it's, a Zoom call or a StreamYard call, whether it's you never meet them, that's what it is. And John O'Leary, you have probably never, ever heard of him. At 9 years old, he accidentally lit himself on fire with a large can of gasoline, burning down his house and his garage and burning over 95% of his body with third-degree burns, given a 5% chance of survival. I watched him play the concert grand piano on stage. If he can do what he has with his life, there is no excuse for any of us to say, I can't, because there just isn't. But there's someone I haven't yet mentioned, and that is Rich Roll, host of the Rich Roll podcast. He's not a mentor to me, but he's been incredibly influential in my life. He's someone who, because of his podcast, because of a couple of his guests, I was able to see my business life in a different perspective. I was able to see me in a different perspective, and I was able to make a pivot in my business life and to overcome an obstacle that had thwarted my progress for 20 plus years. I want to help you find your mentors and coaches. And I don't know who's right for you, and you don't yet know who's right for you or for what area of your life. And to do this, I'm enrolling the help of yet another one of my mentors, author Jay Samit. In his book, Future Proofing You, he says in looking for a mentor, you are looking for someone who challenges you to stretch your goals, who helps you see what you are truly capable of achieving, helps you identify what's holding you back. They have a constant round and round, back and forth dialogue with you. They evaluate your progress and your mistakes, and they center you, keep you on target. Can you see how mine have helped me in those areas? Who could you start following on Instagram or in LinkedIn or on YouTube that could do the same for you in any area of your life or business? Is there someone in your network right now, in your circle, or does someone in your circle know someone who might just be a couple of steps ahead of you that fits that direction? Okay, breathe. Just take a breath. You aren't going to run out and ask someone to mentor you right now, are you? No. Say you're not. You want to get a feel for the universe. Absorb what's already out there. See if it makes sense. Does it resonate? Can they, with the stuff that doesn't cost you anything, can they move you forward? Participate in comments, and if they do an article on LinkedIn, if an opportunity comes up. And when the right time comes, you will know it instinctively. And it may be an actual ask, or it may just evolve organically. And what about a coach? So I haven't talked a lot about them. Again, let's go back and ask Jay Samit about that. A coach is not a mentor. A coach helps you by telling you what you don't want to hear or you haven't been able to hear. And if you don't think that the coaches at the Olympics over the last couple of weeks are telling their coachees, their athletes, what the athletes don't want to hear and what they do want to hear, then you're fooling yourself. And they help you by guiding you to see what you don't see or haven't been able to see. And again, you just have to look at the Tokyo Olympics to see that without the crowd and so on, even some of the athletes that are finishing on gold medals and silver and bronze, they don't even know that they've placed there because they don't have the feedback from the audience. And they're having to get that feedback from other people. So that's what the coach does. And they do that so that you can be who you've always known that you can be. Because we all feel that. If you don't feel a pull towards something, to something more than what you are right now, then let's just just shut this down. Not pause, just shut this down. Because the people that I'm talking to have that pull, no matter where you are. Can you see how the mentor and the coach are not the same thing? Can you see how neither is telling you what to do or how to do it? That's a big realization, is understanding that that's not what they're there for. How long each person, whether they're mentors or coaches or advisors, stay in your life or in your business is also uniquely personal. Take me. You might have found incredible value through the first 71 episodes of our podcast. Maybe you found something at episode 3. Maybe you just joined us at episode 51. Maybe you're going, okay, I know what I'm doing. I got some momentum. I'm going to pause, Debbie. That's awesome. Because that's how it works. Because I am here to help you as a mentor, to use some of my experience and my mistakes, and there are a lot of them, to help you move forward, to help you jump over those things a little bit. And you gotta listen to your nudges. You got to listen. Whether you call them nudges or gut instinct or women's intuition, sixth sense, whatever you want to call them. I call them nudges. And the reason that I call them nudges is because a nudge will always push you forward. You know how a dog gets behind you, or a horse or an animal, and they punch you with their nose? You always move forward. They rarely come from in front of you and punch you backwards. That's why I call it a nudge. Not every mentor is right for every person. Not every coach is right for every person. So, let me end by sharing this story. In my Arbonne business, I was told over and over and over again by people further up the success line, by people who had already achieved the top level of the business, that I wasn't coachable because I couldn't and didn't implement what they said we had to do. I was broke. I was looking for answers. I was looking for help. And I had my story, my big bad decision, my shame, everything that came out of that. No one ever offered up any suggestions other than, you've got to believe, you've got to believe, you've got to believe. Take my belief. That's a crap out. It's a total cop out. I know there are some of you listening that are at that point. No one ever mentioned the concept of money blocks or money beliefs. Everyone assumed because I was a professional accountant, that I'd had a business before, that I was good with money, that I was just sticking my heels in and I just wasn't doing the thing. They didn't get it because they'd never been there, and they never pointed me to a resource. I'm here to help you find your resources, to find your own path, so you can find your own mentors and coaches the books you need to read, the videos you need to watch, or just listen to, the podcasts you need to hear, and to find what works for you, what moves you forward, and to gladiate for yourself. So, we're here. It's that time. We're at the end, and it's the time for the question that I ask everyone at the end of each episode. Take your time, give it some thought. What is the worst thing that could happen if you unlock just one of your shackles today? So guys, I'd love to connect with you and hear your stories and help you out where I can. So don't forget to leave a comment or shoot me a DM or an email at support@momentsforexcellence.com. And yes, it's me reading each and every one of those and responding to you. Hey guys, if you found this podcast helpful and think it could help someone else, please send them the link. It's in the show notes. And then drop a review in wherever you're listening. And then come on back and hang with us some more. Let us help you keep moving forward. We're simple to find on the interwebs. MS Debbie Colburn, that's MS Debbie with an IE, Colburn with an OUR squished between the B and the N on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and yes, on our website. See y'all next episode.